What are your memories of Bruno from back then?
Bruno Sammartino was, to me, was a legend already. I mean, nobody sold out Madison Square Garden more than Bruno Sammartino. And to me, I just saw him this past weekend. For somebody who was as successful as he was, whenever I had any questions of, what should I ask Vince, or any questions of what was going on with me, because you don't know how to deal with the promoters. I would ask Bruno for advice, and he would always give me advice. I thought for somebody, because I thought that he was probably the most successful wrestler, of our times, until Hulk Hogan came around. Nobody was even in the same league as Bruno.
Right. Was Bruno pretty much for himself, or did he help the younger guys?
He helped me.
Okay.
He helped me, and every heel that worked with him made a lot of money, and he was the type of guy that you could get 2 or 3 returns. He was the type of guy that more than I can say for Hulk even. Hulk was a great draw, and whenever somebody was going to wrestle against the Hulk, he'd always sell out, but very seldom would the people believe that the next bout was going to be meaningful at all.
Right.
So the houses pretty much dropped. The return matches. Mr. Wonderful, I think, was the one that probably kept the houses up more than anybody else, because they believed that Paul had a chance to beat him.
Right.
But Bruno, from what I understand, he'd get 3 or 4 matches out of the heels, and keep selling out to the guys. So he made the matches believable. Who was a better worker between him and Hulk? It's hard to say. Who drew more money? They both very, very successful.
Right.
They both were the best at what they did with their gimmicks. They had completely different gimmicks. In a way, they both had powerful men. Hulk Hogan was 6'6", Bruno was 5'11". Bruno was benching 565 pounds. Natural. No steroids. I never knew how much Hulk wrestled, and I'm not going to say that he was on steroids, because I don't know.
Right.
I can't tell you. I saw him ever taking him, so I don't know. I just know that he had a very impressive. Hulk has a very impressive body, and he still looks good.
I guess, what are your memories of your series with the Valiants and the thoughts on them?
The Valiant brothers. When I saw them wrestled, what they did was very believable. When I stepped into the ring, I found how easy it was for them guys to get heat, and didn't have to abuse your body too much, when you were working with those guys. You wrestle against some of the guys, you earn the heat.
Right.
With them, they got heat. They just had a way of getting heat from the fans, and they were successful. How can you knock success?
What about your memories with the Samoans?
The first time that I saw the Samoans, and we were the champions, and they told me that we were going to be probably dropping the belts to those guys. And I used to watch the Samoans wrestle, and God, what they did looked, real to me.
Definitely.
It was scary, and standing next to those guys, you want to make sure that you don't say anything to piss them off.
Right.
I was kind of scared the first time I wrestled against those guys, because their work looked so convincing, and it's so real. And then again, when you step into the ring and then you start wrestling against those guys, they went in there and they worked hard, but they weren't out there to hurt nobody.
Right. What were they like outside the ring, Afa and Sika?
They pretty much kept to themselves. I know that they were very respectful people. They respected. I never heard anybody say any bad things about the guys. They kept to themselves, especially Afa. Afa was and Sika too. They always treated everybody with the utmost respect, and so people treat them the way you treat, people, the way they treat you. The way you treat others, they treat you. And I saw everybody respect those guys.
Around that time period, I guess, what was your favorite matches during that run?
Are you talking about when I came back the second time around?
The first time before you went to Vern again.
Before I went to Vern, when I was a tag team champions with Ivan Putski.
Right.
Probably the tag team matches against the Valiant brothers and the Samoans.
Okay.
Being a champion was probably the first time that I was able to be involved in angles where I could get into my interviews, and I think that I would really started learning how to do interviews, and because I always heard the guys in Minnesota would always tell you interviews are 90%. You sell the tickets with the interviews, and your work is only about 10%. So, and I mean, Mad Dog Vachon and Bruiser and
right.
a lot of those guys, they did very little in the match, but
the promos were awesome.
The promos were so unbelievable that they used to sell tickets with their promos, and so I put a lot of interest in improving my interviews because they stressed that to me when I was in the AWA.
I guess at this time period, was there ever any consideration about giving you a singles push at all, or was it pretty much you're going to tag up?
No, okay. Pretty much. I think Vince McMahon still saw me as pretty green, and because the minute we lost the belts, Vince McMahon Sr. came up to me and he said, "Tito, you can stay around," and I said, "Well, what do you want me to do?" He says, "What I prefer." He told me, "I prefer for you to go out and get some more experience elsewhere, and then when the time comes, we'll bring you back."
You went to Vern, I guess, at that point, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He booked me in Japan. I went to Japan for 6 weeks
New
for
Japan?
Baba.
For All Japan?
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
I hated being gone. I hated Japan. I went to Japan twice, and I hated it was too far. I had an experience. I wasn't making a lot of money. I was, making good money for the time, but
right.
Phone calls were very expensive, so I used to call home once a week. I used to call my mom once a week to keep in touch. And between 1 week and 1 week, one of my sisters had lost a baby, and they had buried the baby, and I wasn't able to offer her my condolences. So I just had a bad spot because of that. I just figured I'm too far to do anything if something happens to anybody that I care about.
Right. What was it like adjusting to the style over there, because it was a lot stiffer?
It was. I mean, I remember before you went to Japan, if you were a guy my size, you better be in shape and you better be ready to dish it out yourself.
Right.
And the fan adjustment was something else. I mean, you go out there and you beat each other up, and the wrestling fan would just sit there and, and just watch the match. They showed. They showed appreciation in a much different way.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.